Oh, hello. Wow, I forgot I was a funny man last stream. Hey, everybody. So funny and so skeletal. Hello, Jack Cat. All right, at least the microphone ain't picking that up. They're still doing construction in front of my building. Like, am I? Oh shit! Hold up. All right. Fortunately for me, I have a USB-C cable. This 10-meter long USB-C cable has a 4-liter V8 engine. You can't. I can't with the top gear. But... Hey there, man. Hi, Shadley. Hey, Brian. Hey, Tailgate. How you guys doing? Look, it's a laser tube. Look, it's the laser tube, Verbal Shock. Ah. It's already too late, Frank. It's already too late. The lasers got all of you. So, for today's stream, I wanted to do Devil May Cry, but Gabe is very busy, and I kind of like wanted to stream it with him because it's his favorite game, um, and all that. But I also wanted to do Ori, but I also kind of want to play that with Taco, who gifted me those games, and they're his favorites. So unfortunately, I would have to offer a mulligan on those. Don't look at me. I had it. I had it downloaded. I had it planned. It was we were going to we were doing Dante today, but then Gabe ain't here. And I messaged him, and he's like at work. We can. I guess that we can still do Dante. I don't. We don't have to like wait for Gabe. But at the same time, it's like his favorite video game, and the guy's always co-hosting for me. And he bought my copy that I would feel bad. I only have the MC5 downloaded. I didn't download the other ones because I really thought that we would play it today. But instead, I can offer. So my idea was the menu was I was gonna do some Metroid Dread mode run because Dread mode. Uh, just for funny. See if that can buy us some time before Gabe finishes whatever he's doing, and see if he uh wants to be part of the stream and stuff. Because at the end of the day, I can't really force him. Sorry, man. I don't know what you want me to do. They're done, bruh. Like I thought I'd done it. There we go. No, it worked. Anyway, so the idea was doing a little bit of Dread mode, just because I thought that'd be very funny uh, to see and all. And then after that, based on whether or not Gabe Newell is here, do DMC, or if not, just change it to Ultra Kill or Gravity Circuit. Either or. But like, the idea is to play a little bit chill out, try and see. I was really ready for DMC, but oh, hey Pawn, just loading up the Metroid bread over here, and then my chibi, my Pawn here. Oh, by the way, a reminder that the drawing over here is made by Pawn, which is the control for you again. There's so many layers. I can turn on. I can deactivate Leisure for a bit. Oh, this one. This one over here. Huh? Leisure. Thank you, Midnight, for the sub. Fuck you about the message. Tomboy, Leisure. Tomboy, Leisure. Tomboy, Leisure. Well, at least I can't get angry. It was a sub. So, if anything, thank you. Thank you so much, Midnight. I really, really, really appreciate it. All right. He's swapping everything to neutral. Don't be surprised by what I was playing last night. Is this me? Yeah, this is me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Look, it's the one game that I can be shaking my head disapprovingly on Midnight. Chat, can you imagine that Midnight's gonna finish the new Pokemon games that just came out, but not the Xenoblade X game I've been harping on about, that she got on launch when I went to meet her, IRL, on Maine. I flew to her neck of the woods. Instead, she's playing Babymon's version of this. Alright, it's all working. Let me swap this. Nope. That's us. Don't grab us. I can't hear you. I have it in my backlog. I don't trust because I know you'll play the new Pokemon game and then we'll never get to Xenoblade. Despite the fact that I know you would love the new content story. It's up your alley. Yeah, you'll finish something. You swear you'll finish something, but it'll be anything but Xenoblade X. It'll be Pokemon Winds and Waves, and then Pokemon Legends ZA, and then it'll be Pokemon Pokopia, or whatever it's called, and then it'll be... I don't know. You don't have the new one now, but you'll probably not put that in the backlog before. This is my point. At this point, I'm making a bet because all my friends, quote, bought the game, but only 2 of them have finished it. Shoutouts to Aimeric, shoutouts to Collector. Fish! Oh gosh, there's only Collector right here. I just wanted somebody to be able to talk about the new story content. Like, it's been years, and I have no one. Besides Croco. And those other 2. But I just wanted to hear like more people's opinion on the matter, but no one will ever do. Alright. No, I don't believe you, Midnight. I'll believe it when I see it, because everybody tells me they have a spreadsheet, they have this, and then like it never happens. It's been like a year. I would like a year ago. I was talking to you on the street about it. The thing is, it's a game that also like requires some form of momentum because of all the stuff that you can do. That if you do not have that, if you don't carry that momentum, it will stay in the spreadsheet forever. Trust me, because there's just a lot of content in it. Not to mention that they added a whole new chapter after the game, so there's like a whole DLC Isle of Tundra type of length, but the content is more catered towards the main experience. Yeah, and it explains the canonical events of how the Xenoblade X game ends. Yeah, without having to buy another game for. Complete hard mode. Oh. That and Xenoblade 1 too? Oh my gosh. Alright, Midnight. I don't want to hear what you're playing in terms of baby games anymore. Wow. Midnight already finished like 4 baby Xenoblade games in the time that it's taking her to finish 1. Or reach the half. Me, point and laugh because I'm the only one who cares. Okay, chat. So what would be the funny thing to do? It's sort of like a punishment per death or every 10 deaths. Let me make a death tally. My current train of thought is Final Fantasy IX and then into Xenoblade. Why is it taking you so long to finish Final Fantasy IX? That game is short. You finished 7. Midnight, you're making me more SMH. I can't. If you could see my head, I'm shaking it so fast I could gain momentum and fly. But my own ego weighs me down. That sounds like excuses, Midnight. Now it just sounds like you're making excuses for yourself. For every yell deaf, yeah, for every deaf yell Samus and shock yourself. Oh gosh, alright, hold up a minute. I could make that into a sound clip if we took like 5 minutes to load up like Premiere. I could or DaVinci. I could just make that a sound clip and have it play. But the thing is that I don't want it to seem like I'm bullying the voice actor or anything. I'm just bullying the directing of the game. I don't really blame the actors for Beyond. It's always usually a problem with directing. Or the script where they don't have much to work with and stuff. If anything, I'm happy that there was like new blood for the cast of Beyond. There we go. Alright. Oh no, nothing against the voice actor is all. The writing and dialogue was just bad. I blame the writer. I blame... Okay, if we're gonna go with the whole blaming train, it's blame Nintendo because they didn't give time or the actual, hey, they're working from scratch and making a almost completely different game when it was just like, hey, fix this. Finish this so we can put it out. And whatever. But yeah, like, I feel like with more passes of the script to iron out the actual dialogue and the context and the subtext, and you work with the voice actors, because like the advantage Corruption had is that the voice actor for Corruption were already like industry professionals like Troy Baker, so like they have all they bring with them that type of experience where they can just sort of adapt to the fly versus when you have newer talent, you might need to just like nudge them in the right direction a little bit more. But yeah, it's like the writing. I asked what kind of punishment wheel for dread mode we were aiming for because my initial thought was just 5 squats for every death. I mean, I wouldn't mind that because like exercise and whatever, but I am a bit sore from specifically doing squats yesterday. So like yesterday. But I'll tell you what, for 10 deaths, I'll do some squats. The problem is that you won't be able to see it, so I don't think it'll be as funny. I'm prepping the C-Lux meme. Okay, so make it 10 squats per death. Only if you play Xenoblade X instead of putting it in your backlog. Ha 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 ha. See, chat, I got her. No, you. Oh yeah, midnight. I'll just put the squats in my backlog. Don't worry about it. Let me know if it's starting to get petty as a joke. But it's of course it's all meant as a joke. When I get back from vacation, sure, midnight. It's on a Switch. Like it's on the go. No, I blame the writers because there isn't enough Mackenzie interruptions. Tokabi Solan speeches, but yeah, big Nintendo. It's like the MC2 development hell. Yeah. No, it's the meme is supposed to be extremely petty, midnight. Wow, chat. You know what? I'm gonna start making a super secret exclusive thing and content or whatever for people who finish Xenoblade. Because there's like so much I would like to talk about. I don't want to spoil it, and there's so much I would like to discuss about the story from the perspective of people who are in it as brain rotted as me to just get like another opinion, you know, on it from somebody who's not into Xenoblade or X when it came out, and they finally get to play when it actually has an ending. It's super interesting for me. But of course, all the people who finished Xenoblade X are the same 12 idiots who bought the game back on Wii U, like me. I almost want to go back and fight C-Lux again just so I can record this without the music in the back. Yeah, Valhalla, dude. It's a freaking the indie games I have in here is because like I double dipped on them or triple dipped from like the time I played it on Steam, and I really liked them, so I needed to have them again or in a way that I could just play them on the go. You sure you want to fight C-Lux again for the meme? Yeah. So I can get it without the music, with all music in the background. I'm in the point in the video review where I'm actually discussing the positives about the game, and they're all back to back, so it's like big positive. Because there are stuff that I like in game, of course. So yes, it's another opportunity for me to talk about View. I feel like I talk about him in 3 or 4 different instances in the video. And what have you. All right, this is export it. Export. There we go. That should be it. But I was thinking, like, speaking of Prime 4, it went on discount. Wow. On like the Nintendo eShop or some other website. Because I knew it was on discount in like the UK in Amazon. View, the only good NPC. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's on discount apparently. I just heard it was on sale. Not sure if it's digital or not. Well, I have Google here. Let me see. Metroid Prime 4 discounts. Well, the Switch 2 version is on discount apparently, I think. not the game as a whole. So I see it in places where the $70 version of the game is selling closer to $60, which I still think says a lot. But yeah, I'm writing the positives about the game. So if during the stream you have something about Beyond that you would consider a positive, please let me know. I have already a list of things, but I feel like the more I talk about it, the more things I find, and it doesn't matter how small they are. Because in my eyes, sometimes these smaller things are more impactful than the main thing. At times. Although I'm still confused that View had ranged attacks the whole time and just didn't use them, especially during Sealuk's fight. Well, again, if I load that cutscene, then we would also have the moment where both Corporal Rieger Tokavi and Sergeant Ezra Duke and Nora Armstrong, the three of them have their weapons aimed at Sealuk's, but they still let him scream Samus and shoot Mackenzie. So, like, again, directing. Some of the music are in my positives, same. But at the same time, I would put the music in the positives in general. I did not like the electric guitar. I did not like the like chanting. It's not that I think it's bad. I think it's just overused, and because it's overused, it makes a lot of it feel monotonous because it kind of sounds the same. And then you get to Flare Pool and the mines, and the music just like completely evaporates. But like when it's at its strongest, like in Volt Forge or Ice Belts, or even in some bosses like Zelios. It's funny because I would say Zelios has my favorite boss theme in the entire game, and it's not even Sealuk's. Like I can hum some of the melodies, especially Volt Forge, like crazy, crazy. The biggest sin is that we didn't get to explore more. Was that a burp sound in the background? Yes. Alright, so this is Dread mode. This is Dread mode. Oh, I'll put here Dread mode devs. There we go. That might be easier for anybody who I guess is tuning in now. This, I really wish I could skip this. I don't know why I cannot. I don't know why they never put a patch that lets you just skip this part of the game. Why can't I skip the cool fight against Ravenbeak, who's so cool and so hot, but not like the recap of the old Metroid games? You know, I don't get why we can't skip this. Yeah, me neither. I was just saying that. And then the jelly got onto Samus. Oh no! Anyways. These shots are amazing, though. I feel like I would have loved to see some renders like this also used in, like, Beyond's recap or Little Amorn stuff to make it feel more ancient. Or whatever. I've sat to realize that the thing about Beyond's story and why it doesn't click with me is because it's not focused on horror. It's focused more on action. With the one-liners that the Federation troopers keep throwing, and all the references and whatever. This is the true final boss of the game, Dusty. It's skipping this. Also because Samus never really is at a point of weakness. Which I don't mind breaking that Metroid tradition, but I feel like it's one of those traditions that if you're not gonna have it, you need to find a way around it. Because it's the fact that Samus always starts kind of weak, and the enemy has like an upper hand against her. That if she starts at like a 10, she's pushed back to a 0, and then she's got to make her way back to being at 100% type of stuff. That never really happened with Sealuk's. That happens immediately at the beginning with Ravenbeak, and then it's sort of felt with the Emmy chasings. Introducing the Emmys, robotic badasses that will give you anxiety. Alright, Midnight, tell you what, per Emmy def, if the def is because of an Emmy grabbed me, then yeah, I'll do 2 squats, because that would have been 2 times I could save myself. At 10 kills, at 10 devs, I'll do 5 squats. And then per def, I'll just put the C-looks. Alright. I love this cutscene, but we want to play VD game, so we can go play other VD game after this VD game. Right, VD game? So after this, assuming Gabe aimed back for DMC, it'd be a tie between Gravity Circuit and Ultra Kill. So, place your bets. Would have been nice to have C-Lux boss fight before entering Viros to establish the level of power C-Lux has. Yeah, I mean, or even if it's through a cinematic in the same way they did for Dark Samus in both Echoes and Corruption.
Uploading data.
So you've accessed a network station. Well done, Samus. I have reviewed your vital signs and video log from the data you uploaded. I've run a full analysis, but I cannot account for why you lost consciousness. My readings indicate dramatic physical changes in you. Whatever caused these changes seems to have stripped you of most abilities. You might call it physical amnesia. That brings me to your assailant. I am checking the Federation database against your video log. It appears to have been a Chozo. The attacker's identity is not yet clear. I have determined that you are somewhere within the depths of ZDR. Your top priority should be to return to your ship on the surface. This situation is precarious. Trust your instincts as you navigate upward. This planet appears to consist of multiple areas. Shuttles, elevators, and other modes of transport connect them. Keep an eye out.
I'm trying to see how I can make it more transparent and in here. Oh, there we go. This has an opacity, but I don't think it's gonna work. No, it's not working.
The ship's location is marked on your global map. Check it for yourself. You may encounter pockets of low temperature.
We don't see is, or hear me out, another run of.
Spending time in cold areas will be harmful to you.
You know, Pawn, you can't say those things, since I haven't recorded Crow Country for my video, so I might be just inclined to do. Oh, is that what you wrote before? The. Okay, now I'm reading.
There are many such cold areas scattered underground. Do not enter them with your basic power suit.
Ravenbeak is clearing his throat and rambling to get his.
One final thing. Underground interference is preventing radio transmissions. Check in with me at any network stations you find.
Alright. Well. Yes, I gotta stop getting grossed in. Like, you know, making video games is hard and all, but at the same time I can, like, not being caught up on the what if scenarios, but also thinking, what if Nintendo actually let these people make the video game that they wanted to do, because it's a very different situation. When there is a game that's already doing a lot and you want to add more to it, versus when a game feels like it could have more, but because we needed to have the game out and sell, it's not there. It's a very big difference. And sadly, Beyond suffers from the latter a little bit. Is that clear, Samus? Is that clear, Samus? Is Samus responding with the oh, or is that Ravenbeak by accident going with a oh in the the Atom? Chat, I have bad news. My salad won't arrive at work for another half an hour, and I'm hungry. You mean you didn't bring the salad with you from home? Oh, I never knew you could shoot the door through there, so it's in slow motion. But yes, Chad, if you have any things that you would want to add for the video regarding Beyond, I'm always ears. I don't have what I wanted to put on the salad at home. Mood. I would have just mulliganed and made go buy the ingredients and make my own salad for the next day. I just don't like takeout salads. I don't think like there's not a place that gives me the ratio that I like or the type of sauces that I like, if you may. The Psychic and Elemental were an interesting one, yeah. Psst. Hey, Samus. Oh, or is it hey? Rest in peace, Silex. You were cool in my brain when I was a teenager. I like loading my salads with veggies, and we don't keep them in the fridge. You don't keep your veggies in the fridge? That's fair. I've only managed to find one salad place that does pretty good ratio. Gotcha. I thought of Samus responding, oh, but Ravenbeak accidentally going, oh, is kind of funnier. Yeah, because it's also Ravenbeak, so it's not like just some whatever silly looking raven. It's like this terrifying cosmic horror dread thing. I still say the Sealux should have had like the upper hand in some way in the beginning of the game. Even if it's like he actually gets his hand on the Tanamar artifact and activates it willingly. So that way it can kind of like make everything more digestible as like Sealux planned all of these. No, we don't keep the ones I want in the fridge, so we just don't we just don't have them at all. Alright, final form of Ravenbeak just go, oh! Do ravens make similar sounds to crows, though? Yeah, it's kind of similar, but not the exact same. Ravens and crows are very close to each other. It's just that one is like massive thing. Like one bird is massive, more massive than the other. Was recording your video rewriting Dread's Metroid Dread story? Yeah, for sure. But like the story in Dread already has like a clear beginning and end and themes and stuff like that. That it's much easier for that train of thought to apply because the package feels complete as it is. Versus Beyond, where unfortunately, the story is bare bones. The horror is non-existent. The journey and the growth for Samus is basically also non-existent because there's no struggle for her in the journey, and it's more about the journey rather than the destination. So they all just like hinge their chips on the sacrifice. Samus, this is Sealux. After your deeds, I have started going to therapy. The therapist told me to embrace my pain, so come here and let me give you a hug. Okay, that's great. So like in the case of Beyond, it's also very different because it's like the team really never got a chance to make the game that they wanted to do, which is just sad. If what I'm reading is correct, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. I used to get visited sort of by a raven a few years ago, and he would sit out in our basketball hoop, and I see him every morning when I go to my car. You're making me cry. That would be so cute. It's hard to tell the difference between ravens and crows. Just call them cravens. Look at their beak. Look at the size of the bird. Look at the feathers in their throat. and the length of their tail. Those are usually like great signs to find a difference between one and another. So if there's a Ravenbeak, is there a Crow Hogan? Silex's therapist. So, from how it sounds, you were just a jealous jerk. Basically. I think the point of Sealux is that he's always been weaker than Samus, so that's why he's been lurking in the shadows and loses in the beginning. Samus is already the SCX for him. I beg to disagree, because if that's the case, then why is he the main villain? Right? I feel like you could still have Sealux be at equal strength or stronger than Samus because he's got Metroid fusions, he knows about the Tanimar artifact, he's launching an ambush, he's got an illegal weapon, a weapon deemed illegal by the Galactic Federation because it siphons the energy of the target. Like, we didn't have to have that mentality of Silix being weaker than Samus back in Metroid Prime Hunters, where this character was introduced as a threat with the other 6 bounty hunters. That why not carry that forward for the opening of this game to establish him as a threat? So that way the journey is more how does Samus become strong enough to stop whatever Sealix might be trying to do, or that there's a room for her to grow. But when you establish that the main antagonist is just like whatever, then you know, you might as well frame it that Link can automatically defeat Ganondorf because he's got the Master Sword, you know? Then there's no stakes. Because also the story doesn't hinges on how the Silix try and close the gap or anything. They could have just there's no reason for Sealux not to be somewhat stronger or win against Samus in the beginning. I feel like by us just trying to warp the narrative around this is just like trying to make a band-aid. Also, Sealux had the HP draining shock hole. Why didn't he use that in the first place? I don't know. The Federation consider it illegal because of the way it could siphon energy, that it makes you think it's similar to how a Metroid siphons energy, but
enemy never leaves its assigned zone. Their control system must permit them to operate.
I never played Hunters, but was Sealix more competent and somewhat of a threat in that one? It's debatable, because the point of Hunters was more that everybody was in an even playing field. Though true villain is a cosmic horror that is coercing and manipulating all of these dangerous and powerful bounty hunters of equal skills and strength into the Olympic cluster to search for the ultimate power for their own nefarious purposes. So so the story was less about who Sealux was and more he being a side thing to the story to cater to the tension between Sealux and Kendon and Spire and Trace and the others. And putting them at equal on part of each other so that it's more about like the specific things and the situations that the hunters would find themselves in that would give one an advantage over the other. But in theory, the way hunters framed the characters, everybody was equally a threat. Or on par to Samus's level and experience. Kind of like how Corruption wants to frame it with Gendreda and Gore and Rundas at the beginning of the game. The problem with Beyond is just that he goes from being just one of the 6 other threats for the multiplayer mode into the sole antagonist, right? And it's not like he disappears in Tanimar and we don't see him anymore. He's in Vuros and you fight him on Vuros. So like they just had to establish him as a threat, as a viable threat for the people who don't know about the lore. Because, like, okay, I know who Sealux is and all this other stuff, but what about Jimmy and Timmy who just bought Metroid Prime 4 on Christmas? You know, or, like, if you were to ask them why is Silix a threat, I don't know. Oh! Hey, first death! and from all the things to die into. It was because I was talking about Sealix. I got distracted, my bad. Also, anybody remember the Space Pirates in the Prime 4 opening? Yeah, I mean, why would you think that the Space Pirate tech does not also show up in Tanimar with, like, Space Pirates if it was enough to bring all these Federation stuff and the troopers, you know? They're all on the same planet. That's why the theory of what I said in my Metroid Dread story video just doesn't really apply here. Celix probably would have done better as a third-party antagonist that interferes with Samus instead of the main villain in Prime 4. Yeah, agreed. If you wanted to keep it in that angle, I feel like he could still work as a main villain. But if you want to make him as a main villain, you gotta make that the whole artifact thing was of his so that the things that are happening on Veros were of his own design because he just gained that information off screen, and it's just more of Samus catching up with it. In a similar fashion to, you know, Ravenbeak is a new character that showed out of bumfuck nowhere, so he had more work to do to remain in the minds of audiences compared to Celux, who at least has, you know, all the years since Hunters and Corruption's worth and Smash Brothers trophies and stuff to generate some form of excitement and allure. But they understood that you need to establish Ravenbeak as a threat, and so that's why he kicked Samus's butt at the beginning. The fandom's perception of Steelux went from him being really cool. Oh my gosh, thank you for the sub, Taco. Taco, when are you free so we can stream Ori? What days are easier for you? The Ori game. The fandom's perception of Steelux went from being really cool rival to Samus with a cool backstory to an unclearable lame whiner. Yeah, it's also the fact that because his story was the most, like, ambiguous, they really had a lot of room or... I don't want to do a squat, I don't want to do squats, 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 I don't want to do squats. They could really take his story anywhere with why he hates all of these people and whatnot. And then even then, the cutscene where it's just established that he's a hater has massive canonical issues. Like, I'm just picturing a DMC3 moment where Samus and Celux work together to take down the main threat, but after all is said and done, one last duel, of course. Yeah, that could also... Like, almost anything could work, because the problem is that there was nothing in Beyond. And in order to get something, we must, like, put band-aids on it. Where with Dread and the other Prime games, there's, like, a clear struggle and growth for Samus that challenges her internally as much as externally. That I thought Beyond was gonna go somewhere with the psychic mode on her head, like psychological horror and all this other stuff. But anyways, I'm trying to bring more of, like, guys, what did we like? What did we like? I'm not trying to just be negative Nancy in my Metroid Dread mode stream. Like, I just think that it makes sense why you want to focus on Celux, but it's not so much that a lot changes when you're trying to make him the main antagonist and you hinge all the marketing and stuff behind him and you make it the real rival was Tokavi along the way. You say that as a joke, but I would agree with that, given the fact that he finds the very important Lamorne teleporter artifact off screen and doesn't even tell you anything about it. Given the fact of how important it is, because it also resembles the artifact that was used in Tenamar that started the whole... Oh gosh, damn. What a baby more to die. It's baby deaths, man. So angry. Salix must be the main villain. They must not get rid of him and come up with somehow Dark Samus returned. Don't forget to praise Solon, everybody. Praise Solon. Thank you for the bits, Taco. But no, for serious, when I know that you got new schedules and stuff, so. Also, Chad, let me know if Ultra Kill or Gravity Circuit for after the Dread segment. Taco is lucky I can't promise for train conductor because of the trip paid. I just paid for next week. Midnight, you have no rights to complain about delays or getting sick after it, though. Because, like, I made the meme, I'm gonna fucking do it again. Yeah, it's just, I really feel like they could have done so much with Silex. Like, I had my own story ideas of what could be done with Silex. And I'm not upset that it's, and the reason I'm not upset is not because none of them. Excuse me? I guess he barely graced me. I thought I was right away. If I had a nickel every time I went on a trip and came back sick, you would have at least $1,000. Thank you for the bits, Taco. Taco, are you donating bits per death? Oh, no seriousness, thank you. That is great. I really appreciate it. I will say the new video script is coming along very nicely. 40 pages, holy shit. So I'm putting a lot of memes and stuff in between, so it doesn't become as mundane. So I hope that it's entertaining to watch regardless. That's the real problem with Dread mode in Heaven or Hell. It's the baby deaths, yeah. I promise I'm not trying. I'm trying my best to not. My goal is to maybe try and beat. Hey there, it's me, Albert Skills. been a little bit. Miss me yet? Fuck off, me too. I can't get it. Oh, I thought that guy was gonna kill me. No. I actually, at this point, don't want Celix to return. The perception of his character is so damaged, I would rather just not bring him up again. I still believe that you could fix him. Not in that way, but you could fix him. The issue is mostly that I really think that this, regardless of what you think about the game, unfortunately, hello there, Balance. How are you doing? Unfortunately, the audience's perception on Celix has been severely damaged. And at this point, I would rather just see them take the Dread approach, where it's like completely new things. Don't bring anything back, and keep the Federation troopers out of it, except for View. Just keep View as your navigator, but give me the option of telling View I don't need the navigation. Or that I don't want the navigation, better said. Huh. Noemi. Okay. The Emmy's off on break. The Emmy's busy looking for Celix in the other game. Celix is a damaged man. He just needs to continue his therapy. And even then, we don't know why he's damaged. He's just a petty guy, I guess. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but like, you know, there's like this like armor core with like B2 Snail, pettiest of man, and all this other stuff. But there's like no puede ser. No puede ser. There we go. It doesn't matter what you think of Celix, everyone will rejoice when he joins the battle in Smash 6. Nah. If he joins Smash 6 rather than Ravenbeak, I won't rejoice. I don't really want Celix in Smash. Please, no. No, don't. There's so many other metric characters I want more. Among them, thank you for the board bits, Taco. A fully fleshed out Dark Samus and Ravenbeak. I just... No, I don't want Celix. Thank you. You had your chance. I think the only reason people will rejoice is because it's a metric character, but I don't think that Celix just offers as much cool factor for moves and stuff and just hype like Ravenbeak nowadays. I'm sorry, but Celix, they dropped the ball with Celix so hard, man, that it's like if we saw Adam. In my opinion, I think the idea of having a completely new threat did them wonders when it came to Dread. There's the X part, which is the only exception to it, and my 1 mile dislike for Dread. But I think that they're focusing the Emmys as a threat. Yes, it's not only the Emmys, it's Ravenbeak, and when they bring back the X, it's like at a halfway point. So they're using that as a gameplay mechanic to explain why the wildlife is suddenly more dangerous and put into perspective just like the type of chaos that Ravenbeak had to deal with. So the journey that Samus is doing on CDR feels like it reflects on what Ravenbeak did in his own journey to survive. Could you imagine Celix fending off the X-Parasites? No. Because the guy couldn't even fend off 5 Federation troopers. And he's using illegal tech. Doesn't seem super different than Samus besides Samus, but electric. Yeah, and the shock coil. While Ravenbeak in the final boss fight, not only does he already use moves that kind of seem like Samus's movesets from Smash, which was also cool, and like selling the fact that like both same Chozo training type of stuff. But also, like, I would rather just see Dark Samus being tweaked, and then someone like Ravenbeak who's got like the Hyper Beam and the Black Hole and the Wing, Ravenbeak X, and all these other mechanics that he does in his fight that you can incorporate, versus Sylex, who's just like, I guess, spin in one boss fight, electrify the floor in the other, and then, like, you know. It can be what happens after Prime 3, Crichton. That's also wrong. Because he's in his Federation armor. By Prime 3, he should be in the Federation, he should be in his own blue armor. Because he was in his own blue armor in Metroid Prime Hunters and Corruption. And also in the Federation Force cutscene, which takes place after Corruption, because he's got the shoulders. The problem with that cutscene is that I'm not seeing it as an origin story. I'm seeing it as like a fraction of his past. But the issue with it is that it tells us it's before Hunters because Sylex is still a member of the Federation. Wearing a regular Federation armor, it's just got more blue on it so that we know it's Sylex. But there's the Project Golem mechs behind it, and those things were only created in Federation Force, so it's contradicting itself. Which is kind of just silly. This upbeat would just be straight flight. Yeah. Oh, Ravenbeak also has like the lightning armor and some of the Aeon abilities from Metroid Samus Returns that you could also like implement. He's got that force field shield that he does around it to force you close by. He's got a melee rush attack that you can use for like his melees and his smash. So like the issue with the cutscene is mostly that it contradicts itself based on the things that the game presents as information in its own scan file. If it ever happens, what other hunters do you hope don't get ruined? Did they ever come back? All of them? I mean, I never really wanted any of these hunters to do this. He's infiltrated in the Federation and is after the Lamorne technology from the space powers. He knows Samus is around, so he must pass as the Federation soldier looking in the shadows. Nah. Because again, it contradicts the other games, my guy. If he were, he's not even after the Lamorne tech in Tenamar. He was just bombing Tenamar, according to the Nintendo Today app and stuff like that. And the fact that Samus just stumbled upon into the planet was just out of pure coincidence. So he wasn't trying to do anything undercover until he put the blue suit, the blue and green suit on. Before that, I can understand. But the cutscene is very confusing because it's supposed to take before, because if not, why is he not in the blue and green armor that he had back in Hunters so many cosmic years beforehand? But the mechs are still here. Not to mention that the Federation know about Sylex because apparently he's been, you know, killing and tormenting them off screen since Hunters, because that's his whole story. They agree Ravenbeak might be cool for Smash. However, in the camp that I knew, Smash is probably going to have a new direction or so. Smash Ult seems like a dream project and going to be hard to top. Yeah, I agree. Which is probably the reason, like, it'll be a while before then, but never underestimate Sakurai. I think that guy really knows how to outdo himself with each game. Like, I've seen a lot of the features that he added to Kirby's Air Riders, and I feel that those could really work for a new Smash Brothers game. Well, 5 deaths so far. Ravenbeak would be very disappointed.
There is no record of your assailant in the Federation data. You have seen the message. You have that continued on Fort. There are.
And now I became Adam. Ooh. I was lucky there that the enemy decided to go upstairs rather than straight. Oh boy. Apparently, also for those who might be interested, there's the new Guilty Gear. Version 2.0 is about to be revealed with a new character or something this month. So I'm pretty excited for that. What title will the next Smash game have? Smash Brothers Beyond. Alright, this is the first true skill check of the run, and I missed a lot of my shots. I don't want to get hit by the Cheerios of doom. There we go. Federation knows about Celux the Masked Man, but not on Mask. I also find that hard to believe, Krickin, because again, if we go by the lore, he stole prototype Federation tech. The way that the lore and the thing posted is that this guy's been doing this for a while, and the Federation might be aware of him. So no, I don't buy that. He did not wear a Federation suit. We only know that he kind of wore a Federation suit because they just recycled a model. But he's still wearing the same blue shoulders, and in the way the cutscene, without doing fourth wall breaks and stuff that you're not intended to see, is presented as though Sylux is in his armor because of the shoulder. So, no. He stole the Delano 7, illegal Federation prototype, and you're telling me that nobody knows who he is? In the Federation, to the point that he can, like, jokingly be in and out, swap in and out of the suit like a Scooby-Doo villain, and the Federation wouldn't know who he is? Because if so, why he's not just wearing the armor and infiltrating these places, planting bombs, and calling it a day? Why go through all the trouble of hiring space pirates and do all these invasions when it'd be so much more convenient if he stayed out of the armor? Because the thing is, we don't have a reason for why he put on the armor. We don't have a reason for why he hates the Federation. Therefore, none of these thoughts really work. So we don't have a motive. Hello, I see you are killing Mother Brain's siblings. Yes. Maybe a friend project could reverse engineer Smash ult to add more fighters and modes. Well, I would rather just see more Smash Brothers like fighters do their own thing as well, rather than just more Ultimate. Because that seems like we just want more Ultimate with DLC, which, mind you, I think would be pretty okay with. But I kind of would like variety. Like, that's kind of why I like Rivals of Aether, because I feel like I already have an alternative that I can just mod into Oblivion. Well, you know. That was almost another baby death. Alright, how is Marvel Rivals of Aether doing now? They released a second game. It's in 3D and everything, man. I was under the assumption the secret video of Celux is just a power-hungry person, which either that works for you or not. The problem is that he can be power-hungry, and it's not that and I wouldn't see it as easy as that. It's that it's the only thing that we know about him. But that's not a motive. And people can be power-hungry, but why are you power-hungry towards? In the case of Celux, it's to destroy the Federation, but why? V2 Snail is power hungry because he's a greedy capitalistic jerk who wants to control everything and spread Archivist and rule the galaxy and the stars. So the only way he can do that is by achieving more power, which goes into infiltrating places, stealing technology, assimilating onto his own, and destroying anything that's in his competition. Celux, I want recognition. The Federation, lives matter more. Celux, now I'm gonna be a bitch. Wow. Or if even with, again, Armor Core has a character that's very similar to Sylux, or what Beyond gave us about Sylux with Iguazu, but because the story of Armor Core fleshes out Iguazu and the rivalry and the connection between him and 621, the Samus of the game, and all the corporations and all the other stuff, the final confrontation between the two when he magically gains green cosmic nanomachine powers that allowed him to create black holes and portals feels earned because there's the stakes of what 621 could lose if he loses and what Iwasa loses. Like the issue with Celux is just there's still no motive. And on like, you know, at the end of the day, you were a mistake, Iwasu. Yes, there is that line. So there was the same with Celux. You were a mistake, Celux. Hey Samus, did you know you can still attack Corpus while invisible? Yeah, I think it's only in this final phase. I might be mistaken. Like, I feel like, you know, yeah, Samus is the invincible Samus that can do anything, but that's never stopped other evils and creatures from having a shot at trying to do it. You lose out 1000% of the shots you don't take. In the case of Silex, I feel like, damn it, I was so close. I was so close. I was so close. You know, you can literally attack Corpus when invisible at any time, but it's probably hard to tell. Yeah, yeah, it probably. It's been a while. I'm honestly a bit like I remember being able to do all these Shine Spark on enemies and creatures and stuff that I'm probably not gonna be able to do. Who knows? It's just that yeah, the problem with Silex is that they didn't give him a motive, and with no motive, your villains are uninteresting. Is the screen gone? No, the screen is still here. What screen? I'm checking Twitch. Okay, it might not be a thing. Could you imagine dying to the boss door worm? Yeah. Yeah, I can, because that happened to me. Hi again. Albert's monitor muscle. Albert's motor muscles. It would be a shame if I bamboozled him. Yeah. This is such a cool first boss, yeah. To be fair, I also kind of like Abarax. Maybe not so much the model, but the design of the mechanics and how they're implemented. Ironically, making one of my favorite bosses in Beyond. My motor muscles, yeah, I mean they're all squeaky. I need more RAM and Verto servos for my motor muscles, man. I run in a V6 8-liter engine, petrol. How can you tell that I've been watching too much Top Gear in my free time on the background? Who's it? Alberax? Alberax is the first boss of Beyond, the one you fight in Canada. I love the fan service with these. Hey! Okay, one death. I'll take one death. I'll take one death. So cool. Samus is so cool. Albert X. Hey Celsius, how you doing? Sorry if I don't read everything in chat. Once again, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm already working on the next Beyond video. It's probably going to be my longest video yet. I'm trying to be as thorough because I want my video to be an angle where I can give feedback and criticism for developers to grow in the future, rather than just the video is not out. I'm still writing it. It's gonna take me a while, so I really ask for just bear with me and patience. I'm trying to incorporate memes and other silly animations and stuff, but my schedule is very erratic since the past 2 or 3 years. So at this point, I'm trying to write the script. I'm nearing the end. I'm like 2/3 of the way, or at least halfway, more than halfway done. And I'll be honest, I get sidetracked and distracted by writing and working on my own original stories and concepts and world building and whatever. So, yeah, but yes, there's a video being in the works. I'm having people like Deadweight and other people that I know in the Metroid community giving it a look and give me their thoughts on it. So, will we need to buy an amiibo to see your motive behind the motive behind your review? No, you won't see the motive behind the amiibo. Won't give you that. The amiibo will give you just me being petty with a lot of consistency issues regarding the Metroid lore, and I just prevented a death there. Sweet. Biggest criticism: Celix is not as cool as Dank, but to be honest, he never will. Oops, looks like I missed a few. Thank you, Taco. Thank you, in general, dude. Thanks a lot, man. Taco. I thought that this wouldn't count as a death. I thought that was just environmental damage. I was fine. I'm low-key kind of sad. I was gonna go to a friend's birthday party, but it got canceled. Aw. That sucks. That really sucks. I was distracted by Epion. She's so cute. Hey Sam, did you know you have a personal videographer? He's called John Orpheon. And has been working on content on you about you for over 69 years. That's some dedication. Also, try not dying. Love, Mackenzie. Thanks for always correcting me up, chat, in general. Oh, I love talking to you guys. It's so much fun. I consider this to be like part of the reason why. Again, I love making videos. I love and hanging out in the Discord server. Thanks, Mackenzie. You're so helpful. John Orpheon. The thing with Celix Pun is that I don't think that Celix needed to be cooler to Dank Samosa. He just needed to capture the same type of, oh my gosh, this guy's a threat that you got with Dank Samosa and Ravenbeak, and the SAX and all these other, like, Samus always fights things that believe or are stronger than she is, so. The problem with Celix is that when Celix, it's not it, and there's no like bigger cosmic threat to take out in the game, then it's the struggle. Thank you for the sub, Taco, again. Oh gosh, 2 more and I have to do 10 squats. Well, I do 10 squats before we reach Cataract. Best part of Prime 4 ended up being an amazing joke machine when talking randomly, lol. Oh. I really loved the view though. I don't like how Beyond has become the new punching bag, but I'm kind of glad it's no longer Other M. The other thing I think is worth mentioning about Beyond in my eyes is just that like they made us wait through Federation Force. The whole reason why we all coped with Federation Force back in the day was because when AM2R got taken down and all this other stuff was because Federation Force had sort of hinted the promise of Celux. You know? 10100101010101010 sender view. Oh my gosh, hold up. I used to be able to read these. Hold on, 10. Oh my gosh. No, I don't know this one. I can't read this one. I forgot. So sad. So question. So now, no, I thought somebody had a question. So now I know we have been talking about Celux is not a big as a threat. Question for you: how will you fix him or add him to the story? Albert, no, I was just memeing. Ah, sorry. I thought that your meme was gonna be a bigger galaxy brain and there was an Easter egg hidden in there. A good part of Federation Force now is that you can just not take the Metroid egg and prevent Prime 4 from happening. Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess that's true. You count how many devs Albert will have in this game. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gosh damn it, Dusty, you sent him in a never-ending... Alright, I gotta lock in. I cannot get to 10 devs before I reach cathartics. Fuck me. All right. Let me get to Cataris and I'll answer your question. But the simple answer, the gist of it is, Silex had a plan in Tanamar. He went there to take the artifact because he knows what it is about, and he's trying to use that to his advantage, to use whatever Lamorne power to take over the galaxy. Because remind you, the guy has Metroids that can fuse themselves onto things made off screen that can. Like these things that were cost the Mother Brain used to hold the galaxy hostage, and Ravenbeak wanted to like go through all these problems. Those aren't enough because this guy is here after this artifact, and that way you frame it that whatever the Lamorne have deceived could be as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the Metroids, which is the equivalent for the Chosen. So that way you're also doing a little bit of passing of the torch. And then you just have a fight between Silex and Samus, an actual fight. Could be boss fight or cutscene, really. And Silex just wins. He activates the artifact in Tanamar and it kickstarts the entire game. And now in the back of your mind, you know that Silex is a threat because he got the upper hand on Samus on Tanamar. As simple as that. It's what Echoes did with Dark Samus. It's what Beyond Dread did with Ravenbeak. Hey, Bounty Hunter, it's me, Screaming Silex trademark. How about you stop dying? My throat is starting to hurt. I thought you were such a hatter. I thought you could scream all day because you were so fueled with hat rage. Okay. The space pirates are nowhere to be seen on viewers, and where the hell are the Metroids coming from? Your guess is as good as... The better question is, with that, right? He infected the Guardians that were supposed to give Chetinara and the Chosen One the keys to the Master Teleporter. But when you're playing the game, Keratos is locked in the quarantine room that requires you to repower Ice Belt and go down the elevator, unlock the thing to then find Keratos. So you're telling me that the facility wasn't... And we know that the facility was purposely turned off and left in that low power mode by the Lamorne, not Celux, because it's in the logbooks. And the only area that there's logbook entries, the logbook entries end with the Lamorne and hints that the Lamorne are getting ready to put the facility in low power mode, which is how we find it. So I don't understand when and how did a Metroid fly all the way over there to infect Keratos? Or why is Keratos just chilling in, like, a fucking quarantine bay? The problem is with this is that... That guy. Yes! I did it! I did it. I made it without 10 times. Yes! I did it. I win. Screaming Silex. Screaming Mantis. Psycho Mantis. Still made it. I still beat, It's also funny that it's only been one death to a boss, and the rest are just baby deaths. You know, Orpheon is using logic in a game that was undercooked, overcooked. Yeah, it's like the story and the things and the pieces are there. It's so simple that I think you could just, like, you know, you have all these Federation characters. How come none of them are mentioning Silex, even though the last thing you remember is this guy killing all your friends? All right, it's time for me to do squats, I guess. All right, as promised. For every 10 deaths, I'll do 10 squats. 6 and 7, 8 and 9 and 8. All right, there we go. 10 squats. The stream couldn't handle 10 devs. Did it die? Oh shit. Yeah, it died. It kind of dipped for a second on my end. I'm just seeing the internet. The signal. Cause like there's a lot of logic in Dread and Beyond, I mean, that I don't understand, and the reason it just like saddens me is because whether I dislike the or like the game, I want to be able to at least share the lore and all the how the things work to those who are interested. But because of the way there's more questions and answers, it's very hard to just give the same concrete full picture that I could in previous titles. I died. Albert couldn't stream the idea of Albert squatting so much it crashed his system. Well, I'll have you know. People would pay to see that. Nobody would. Wee! Alright. Stream couldn't handle the power of Orpheon's muscles. Ah! Alright, so it was either death by the robot or fire. I chose fire. C57 is gonna be a nightmare? Maybe. Dread mode and chill. I mean, I'm chilling. I'm having fun. Thank you for the death tally, Taco. Diggernaut has entered the chat. I just forgot to jump there. Fuck hell, man. Wait and see that this room gets more deaths than what you call it, the entirety of Arteria, this one room. Okay, I'm back. So I see number 11. What happened? Nothing, I died. What else? Thank you, Taco. The same thing. Yes! Okay. It's been forever since I played Dread, but I don't have my Switch in college because it's the family Switch. Oh, that sucks, man. I went back to the game, like, because like when I made the review, I put this on the S with Echoes and Fusion as my favorites. Replaying it, yeah, I can still see why I really like the gameplay of this game. The presentation also helps a lot. See, I'm so clumsy and run into stuff constantly. I wouldn't be able to do this. The cool thing about the Dread mode run is that it really makes you appreciate the enemy placements and the room layout, that you could make these sort of rules work. That makes you be more careful about how you approach your surrounding. That I feel like, you know, in every other Metroid game, it's easy to go to a point where you just, I'll tank the hits. And for those wondering, yes, there's still a point at collecting energy tanks and whatnot, because they help me survive through fire or icy areas. Oh, it's my second favorite Metroid game, just underneath Prime 1. Ooh, very respectable. Absolutely. Another nightmare is dealing with X-Parasite enemies with speed boosts. Yeah, you realize how cool game development is, basically. Yeah. And how hard it is. Like, it's very strenuous and difficult. That's why I don't really blame anybody, any of the devs behind Beyond, you know? It's not their fault. If anything, I don't envy those people because they had like unrealistic expectations set upon themselves from the community. Not in a bad way, but just because of the way Nintendo framed the game and all this other stuff when they announced it and all that, it went to that, like, you know. The team has nothing but my respect for still trying to give it their all and what have you, you know? Like, the game got made, and I think that's enough to be celebrated. But there should be, you know, celebrating it with the grain of salt. Is the only way we can grow and improve. As the saying goes, failure is life's best teacher. Thought I was gonna die there. Then there's me, who would sit there and go, surely I can make this jump that I died at doing the first time. Same. If only Samus Returns HD remaster port by Mercury's team. That would be great. Especially if they don't lock the freaking fusion mode behind an amiibo. I really love the Emmy's animation so much. And the beep 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 boop beep 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 boop. Kind of reminds me of what happened with Sonic Book. It was well on its own way to being on something unique, and Big Ribbon had their ideas for it, but because Sega butted in, they had to start from scratch. Yeah. It's kind of like that. Obviously not at the same way of unplayableness or errors that plagued Sonic Boom when it came out. No more squats, please. That was crazy. I don't know, that was crazy. I should be dead. Like, you know, Beyond works better. It's a functioning game and all this other stuff. But I wouldn't really call it a Metroid game per se. My question to you, Chad, and it's the way I kind of post a question at the end of the video. If you removed anything about the Metroid IP from Beyond, no Samus, no Metroids, no Sea Lukes, no Space Pirates, no Federation, Tokavi, Nora are still there, Lila Morn are still there, but they're working with Samantha in a brand new IP by Nintendo. Would people really be this up in arms about the game? And if so, would people be more reminded of an actual Metroid experience or a AAA shooter that has sort of Zelda elements in them? Alright, Gabe, fine. You don't have to answer the question in chat. This is more like me posing for you to reflect on it. Because, like, I felt like when I played the original Metroid Prime, and that was my entry point to the Metroid series, where I had no preconception of who Samus was or what is a Metroid, and all these other things, that I ended up liking it because of the things that it did. And then it helped me realize the formula. That if I were to remove the Phazon and the Space Pirates and Samus and the Chozo from Prime 1, I feel like it's still, at the end, get an experience that's more about the exploration and the horror. That's a different, more interesting question. Oh. No, it would be a generic but somewhat interesting first-person shooter. Yeah. Suppose Beyond would have been forgotten about it if it wasn't a Metroid game. I don't think it would have caught as much flack if it was a Metroid IP associated. Precisely. And that's the question, and I end the video on. I don't want to give my answer to it, because I want to more invite. I want the video to be a way to invite conversation. Which is why I want my friends to finish Xenoblade X, because I would like to have a forum about what they liked about the game, what they disliked about the game, because it's not like X is perfect. It's perfect in my heart because it's got Elma, but that's a whole different thing. but much like with a lot of other pieces of media, the name and legacy franchise carries weight and expectations. I didn't catch that question. You asked over the dying small creature. Because Metro has more going for it than just shooter. And Beyond doesn't have a lot of its elements of the series. It's what I'm saying. The way that the maps are designed also don't have a lot of the verticality that makes the Metroid maps or Metroid experience for me. It's like imagining Hollow Knight if the Bugman could not jump, you know? Isn't Samus like a bird? Bird. I think that question works for Beyond better than, say, whenever people used it for Other M, because there is literally nothing in Other M without Metroid, but Beyond can be a sci-fi shooter. It's not a negative for either, but a weird question to ponder. I don't think it's a weird question, because I feel that a lot of the reason why people online are making such a big fuss in either defending or criticizing the game is because it's got the Metroid IP attached to it. And there is a group of people also out there that like the Metroid is just a brand rather than like the rules that define the genre. So like you could sort of like slap Samus and Metroid as a sticker onto something else, and for those people it would count as a Metroid. Where for me a lot of it is just the way that these games play is what makes it a Metroid game, and not just Samus and Sea Lukes. Because in the same way you could do about Dread, about Other M, is in the sense that that game also doesn't have a lot of the exploration. The story is intrinsically Metroid. And the... Okay, weird is not the right word. Interesting is better. Okay, gotcha. Because, like, I feel like you can apply it to a lot in general. I wish I could play Xeno X, but life sucks. Yeah, tell me about it. I wish I could write and finish my projects, but life finds a way to keep coming in between me and whatever else I'm trying to do. If you remove certain elements of the game, does it still exist? What's the makeup? What's being carried over? Those are good questions when developing anything. It's the type of questions you should be asking at the like the development stage of a game, where you're just still playing around with these things as cubes and spheres and whatnot, and not necessarily Samus. Don't die from the worm. Okay. That's the other scary room. That's the other chat. You have no idea. That room is scary. Good thing I probably don't have to do it again.
ME stands for
Stream died.
Extraplanetary Multiform Mobile Identifier.
Is it back?
It can procedurally modify and enhance its own capabilities. Its ability to configure itself to fit into narrow spaces is a standard feature. Any UR-faced study do not have...
Because, like, I feel like you can add action to Metroid. But the issue that Beyond follows and the mistakes that and the trappings it falls under are similar ones that plagued its predecessors. And I believe that the mentality that because the predecessor did it, it's okay for the new game to do it is kind of like backwards. Because like, would you go back to a place that undercooked your burger? Or will you not be upset that the place that undercooked your burger undercooked it again several years later type of stuff? You know? Because if anything, it has the novelty of coming out later to learn from those mistakes and just make sure that it doesn't fall for the same trappings. But a lot of what plagues the story and the things that I see people dislike about Other M have ironically made their way into Beyond's DNA. But it's no longer an issue there, and now there's people defending it and whatever. So it's like very, very, very odd, which is why it brings me to the question. Would people really give that much of a crap if it didn't have Samus tied to it, you know? Psychic elemental beams are used as nothing but keys. Unfortunately. I do feel like there's some benefits to using them, but it's not like using the fire shot against these enemies deals more damage or causes them to melt a part of their body or whatever. Or you cannot, like... And a lot of some of the other mechanics, like The grapple lasso, like a lot of the DNA, unfortunately, is carried over from corruption, which I think that leaned too much into action as well. And suffers from a lot of the same problems as Beyond, which is why I've always voiced that it's my least favorite of the trilogy. The other problem I have with Beyond in a vacuum is that it doesn't feel like it's presenting much uniqueness to its own. It has the Lamorne and all this other stuff, but the story is just retreading the arcs from the original Metroid Prime alongside the maps and stuff. I'm not here, Emmy. Stop tweaking. The other thing Beyond was... That's what I get for reading Midnight's mess. This is what I get for reading my friend's message. Thank you, Taco. The one thing Beyond has given me is the ability to put my Metroid Other M Defender hat way more briefly. However briefly. Same. Oh, that's another booby trap in the Dreadnought difficulty. Oh. No. Question, since I can't play Prime 4. Does Prime 4 combat at least have is somewhat like Fed 4, since I wouldn't say that it combat fits Metroid fully. What would you say that makes Federation Force combat different to any of the other Prime games? Because I felt that the combat of Federation Force is a benefit, as a positive, is that it feels like the one from other Prime games. Ah, shit. This room also sucks, because now I have to deal with that guy. It's okay, you didn't see my first death in Cataris, but it still happened. The second best Metroid Prime game is Xenoblade Chronicles X. Say that as a joke, but I would stand by that fact. Okay, there we go. That guy's dealt with. Sweet. Now I can relax. So... Also, the other thing about Prime 4 using beats from the first Prime wouldn't bug me as much if it actually made it unique. Yes, agreed. Or if it went a little bit more somewhere with it. So instead of removing Metroid from a game, what if you slapped it onto another, like Hollow Knight or Doom? What happens then? Like, the thing I also make in the video is that, unfortunately, as a first-person, like, shooter game, if you may, the mechanics that Beyond offers and the campaign is not as well-structured or as fun as, say, something like Titanfall 2 or Halo or Doom, that, like, the only advantage it has is that it's not directly competing with much of those games on the Switch, and that it's that equivalent offered by Nintendo, but it's not really... like, it doesn't have the same mobility or mech interaction like Titanfall 2, or the lore and the maps from Halo, or the weapon variety. Beyond has its flaws, and I've got some problems with myself, but at the same time, I felt so happy playing it. I never felt disappointed or frustrated. Well, I'm glad you had that experience, because for me it was the complete opposite, man. By the time I was in Cataris, I was so frustrated and bored. Watching Nora and Duke talk about it while we went on together in the Universal monorail ride. I guess because I see Fed Force combat more freeform when it comes to how many different ways you can attack an enemy. That say an enemy is way stronger than you until you have a proper power-up. No. Again, I feel like Federation Force is just the same as Metroid Prime. It doesn't really have anything that it does in making the combat more engaging than the other Metroid Primes. Fuck. You still side dash and you still hit things. It's just that because it's a shooter with co-op mentality, they give the Space Pirates more health, which makes sense for more of a mission-structured game rather than an exploration-driven game. Beyond, if plays like any other of the Prime games, including Federation Force, and that's a positive. It's got a 4-way dash instead of just a side one, which is another positive. But nothing in it really takes much benefit or use out of it, because there's not a lot of enemy variety and there's not a lot of interaction that you can do. So I don't know what you would consider Federation Force better in combat than the other Prime games, because I find it lacking in some other parts, like elemental weaknesses or beam weaknesses and interactions like the original other Prime games have. It's just that it's designed more as bang bang shooter shoot Griever shoot Cybot. That it makes it feel more of like an action shooter that might help people imagine it more as a robust shooter, but it's because of the enemies and the maps and the beams don't really take advantage of anything. And the way like Halo's Covenant have like different strategies and different tactics that take advantage of the map and the situation and the weapons changing and all this other stuff. Do you like the combat in the other Metroid Prime games? Then it's basically the same and beyond. Same as Federation Force, which I think it's the same as Prime 1, so you're probably asking the wrong person. The baby of that man, I'm telling you. Yeah, the small enemies are the menace in Red mode. I still say that Beyond has its positives, don't get me wrong. It's just that its strongest suits are very short and early in the game, and then it leaves you with a lot of stuff that just annoyed me and bored me. And I feel that at the end of the game, at the end of the day, if the game is not fun, then why bother? You know, people disliked that there is a scavenger hunt in the other Prime games, so this one has two. One of them is just meandering, running around in circles in the desert. There's no exploration, like there's no moment where you explore a fourth tower in Bolt Forge, or you go to the outsides of Flare Pool trying to find your way inside. The hand-holding really just like... These near misses are stressing me out. Imagine me. I also wish there was a variety of ways of enemies being taken down. Like puzzle, example, armored robot, burn their armor, remove the shield, and shock to instant kill. Yeah, or at least like there fuck puzzles. They're somewhat puzzles for when you have later power-ups, you know. I do like being able to use shields, Samus puppets and stuff. It's definitely not as good as Halo or Doom. If you're thinking about, alright, Federation Force is more robust because it's got tools. There are not weapons of destruction, then no. You just get weapons of destruction. Because of the shots in Prime 4, I was thinking maybe it's trying to be like Fed Force in terms of the combat. But the shots are just, from Federation Force, are just the beams. There's no difference between the shot and the beam. It's just the name. But they all behave the same. There's no... Federation Force is just... Alright, time to do 10 more squats. The thing with Federation Force, and I'll explain this with my squats, is that you think it's more of a robust shooter because the game grabs the combat and the mechanics of the original Metroid Prime 2 and then just puts them more in a shooter-oriented area rather than for, say, an exploration game. So enemies are a little bit tankier, and situations where you need ammo and sort of coerce with teammates. So the reason it feels more combat oriented, or the combat feels more robust, is because you don't instant kill things as often as you do while you do your exploration. So the whole focus is of a shooter, so enemies have more health pools. But the combat and the things that you can do in Federation Force are no different, and the approach to it no different than what you would do in Metroid Primes 1 through and 4. It's just that enemies have more HP because now they're mission based rather than an open map. So in an open map game, like Beyond per se, you want to have the enemies with less health so that you can easily take them out and just move on to the objective without having to stop and fight the enemies. Now, when the game is just about that, and of course, you gotta give them more health and stuff like that. And that'll give you the illusion that it's more combat oriented or that there's more things to do, when in reality, nothing beats the old missile side dash into missile combo in Federation Force that you could do in the other Prime games. It's just that, yeah. To answer your question, no. Beyond is just like every other Metroid Prime game, and Federation Force included. Fuck. Me, Gongaga. Tailgate, you say that, and I really liked the Crisis Core when I played it as my PSP. Alright, we're soon getting to the fun part of the game. We're soon getting... Hold on. There we go. Midnight, you already missed me doing the 10 squats. I explained the Federation Force thing while I did this, the squats. Never finished a PSP original, but finally got around to Reunion. Is Reunion worth it? Like, I'm asking as someone who really is, you know, Final Fantasy VII is not my favorite. Fuck! These guys are also the worst. Compared to, like, you know, 6 or 9 or 10, that, like, I just... If it's the same game, then, like, I guess I will just watch the pretty cutscenes online. Because I feel more inclined to replay a Final Fantasy game than a Crisis Core. Even if it's, like, 7, you know? Whoa! And I'm totally not saying it because I'm salty that, Final Fantasy VII, they took down my Nier Reincarnation gacha game that had all these cool, neat characters, and then they took down that game, and then they just put the outfits of those characters onto Yuffie, Tifa, and Aerith instead of just making the game with the original character, and that's why I hate Final Fantasy VII. Also, in case you didn't know, Final Fantasy VII Remake got bigger budget than Final Fantasy 16. A lot of the 16 budget was just moved to 7. Or Yoshi P and Clive, man. And Schlappification. I think it's the same game with mild quality of life and remake voice change. They changed the voice cast? No way. Whose voice has changed? Right. I really like Final Fantasy 16, but you can definitely feel where the budget was sort of cut in the same way as some other games. Fair, I guess more so level design of Federation Force is more why combat feels more varied than really what you can do. I guess that was more of what I was asking Prime 4. Well, Prime 4, but then I remember all you did was ice shot plus missiles. Yeah, which is the same thing I did in Federation Force. Zack's voice has changed? 0 out of 10. So how does he sound when he says Gongaga now? Chat, I need a clip. Because my lizard can do the squats, and it is a reference to Zack, and that's the whole reason I got it. Pawn, stop simping on me. Yeah, I still don't like that they changed the voice actors. Alright. I'm gonna look. Prices for Reunion. Mi Gongaga. Alright, here's a comparison. This is the original.
How about you? Me? Gongaga. Me? Gongaga.
Me? Gongaga.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's a completely different voice actor. Gongaga. I'm indifferent about the voice changes. Some of the new voices are very good. Wait a minute, but the Japanese voice actors didn't change, right? I wouldn't be able to tell you. Chad, I don't know about you, but me? Gaga gong. Fuck you, Emmy. Not today, not today, not today, not today, not today, not today. No. Uh-uh. Man, Sid is still my favorite FF7 character, but what always endeared me to Shaq was how down to earth to all the nonsense happening around him. Yeah, that's why he's my favorite. I don't really have a favorite from the main cast of 7. None of them really resonated with me when I played it as a kid. My favorite Sid, however, is from Final Fantasy 16. 16 Sidolphus and Tactics Sid. Eva Lee's my beloved. I don't know about you, but me got Sorry, I don't know what happened there. My brain kind of like went blank for a second. Okay, at least that destroyed the... We got one half. Ooh, I almost died. Uh-oh. Whoops. I feel like that's a shot. My brother would have been like shot. So close to another 2 squats, chat, yeah. Alright, because I missed that shot, I'll do a shot. I'll do a squat. Alright, hold up. I missed that shot. I'll do a squat for it. There we go. Remember when I said I was going to play another game? Alright. I'll leave it up to you guys. I'm fine with either. I'm fine with continuing this or playing another game. So I'll let you guys decide. For another game, it'd be a tie between Ultra Kill or Gravity Circuit. But I'm also fine with just doing more a Dread mode because I honestly kind of forgot how fun it is. Alright, that's one vote for Gravity Circuit. I also like how thunk the ball is in this game. Oh! Oh, I see one vote for Crow Country. Oh, shit. Oh! No, don't do that. Oh! Oh! Babe. Ah! Oh. Me, ma, bam, ba-dam, ba-dam. Bam, 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 ah, now I'm singing the Crow Country fucking marketing. Alright, I'm gonna go grab some extra coffee real quick. Well, this loads. Test. hear me from all the way over here, don't I? Because I couldn't read what you guys were saying. Yes? Oh gosh. Alright. Because like bear with me. I'm gonna set up some rice for lunch. So that way I can hear you guys. I can see you guys on my phone. I can see you guys. So the question is if you guys can hear me. Ha ha ha. See all the X reference? Midnight will never know. Ha ha ha. You got me. I make silly petty joke. Ha ha ha. Such a hacker. I'm such a hacker. We can kinda hear you. I'm back in this fucking room again. I swear you go back to this room like multiple times. Yes, yes you do. Such a hacker. Actually, what are the most specific rules in every Metroid game? That's an interesting question. Never really pondered. What is the most? Also, we're doing squat and runs. Oh man, that's it's a lot. Point one, kind of four hubs, series north. Yeah, there's still no. Metroid Prime 1, I'd say either the Destroyville or Ruins, like main plaza. Or definitely the gunship. There's also the one by Pendrana that you kind of visit a lot. You know, I think the audience show should have been this big. Would it be an already on screen without technical difficulties? It's not technical. No. I'm just making lunch and rice, and I'm putting the rice to be made while I do the stream. Right back. I'm still reading and talking to you guys. Literally no technical difficulties. The streamer got up for 5 minutes to go brew some more coffee and get right ready to go so he can have lunch. See, you two, I had asked before I stepped up and did the whole thing if chat could still hear me, because I was able to read it through my phone, but people said they could someone hear me. I mean, I'm making coffee too. Do you see me leave the stream? Nothing about whenever I don't write. Yeah, but here's the thing, Ghosty. You get to like just stand up with me on your mobile device and like, you know, make your coffee. You're not like playing the game so people won't know when you're stopped playing. All right, so far I guess the game we're swapping to is Crow Country for a bit. Oh. Ah. Oh. 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 I had asked, and then I saw more Crow Country than Gravity Circuits or Ultra Kills, so I'll probably get the Varia soon and we'll reconvene. We're also allowed to stay in Dread mode, by the way. We can just stay on Dread. I don't mind that. I had kind of like... You know, the original plan was DMC5, but gave us no show today. He's busy with work. You're starting to sound like a Crash Bandicoot with a whoa! 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 Chat, don't stem me. I'm starting to notice that I have a problem where if I hear a sound effect or a specific sound effect, I get stimulated. Samus, you wouldn't be making coughing soon, would you? I just had a hunch you might be. I'm not spying on you or anything, not like I'm listening in or... or the like. Mewtwo, I might have to ask you to write something of these lines for the video to just put in as a joke. If I could find the Mackenzie voice actor and like pay him a cameo or something to do these, I would honestly be so happy. I mean, to be fair, if I got the opportunity to meet anybody of the cast from Prime 4, I would be very happy, and I would kind of buy a game in physical just so that they could sign it. Hold on, how many Aws are there? Because Twitch there's 2 for Gravity Circuit. Well, I saw 3 or 4 crows for Crow Country. Shit! Alright, that's 1 death. If Max VA knew what kind of butt of the joke of his characters, I doubt he liked me. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that the voice actors would be able to find the difference between us making a joke for our own sake and not like making fun of them or whatever. Damn, it seems Samus is bad at escape sequences after all. Speaking of which, how come Beyond gives Bike, but Bike is not used for escape sequence? Fuck. I'm pretty sure that the voice actors would be chill. You know, I'm not approaching them. I wouldn't be approaching them from the point of me hating them or whatever, but it'd be like, all right, here's a joke. I would like to take my opportunity in directing you. You know. Imagine being Samus's voice actor. I can. You see, because she voices a certain character in Xenoblade Chronicles X before she voiced to Samus, and also Air in Armored Core. So. Yeah, I'll message you once it's done because I have a lot of segments that I have open for memes, which I am also adding some of the jokes that we've been saying or ideas that you guys have been bringing. I do have it written down with whoever gave the ideas and stuff like that for the credits. But I just think it might be more fun that I'm editing or animating something that somebody else sort of wrote and planned rather than just me again. Fuck! It really is just that the fire instant kills you is insane. So right, we had that chance to have an escape sequence with the viola, and it never happened. I think that, like, I like the fact that there's an escape sequence that feels more like an escape sequence in a Metroid Prime game. Beyond has definitely the escape sequence that feels the most escapey sequence. And I like how the grapple beam was incorporated and all this other stuff. But after you save Nora and Duke, and Samus is on her own, just make it that you have to, like, bike away from the fire and take a different route that takes you out of Flare Pool. And then it, like, collapses behind you, so that way, that's why you couldn't take that route anymore type of situation. Because, like, we have... Volt Forge has these 3 Mario Kart courses for, like, the testing of the bike that I think would have just been better if you're challenged about these in the self-destruct sequence. And you make a 3rd tower on Volt Forge and instead put those tracks together to make a long course with obstacles and things to jump over or destroy that caters to the self-destruct sequence. Hey Samus, did you not try? Did you try not going into the burning brightly colored flame of death? I suggest you avoid those. I'm actually telling you to. Avoid those. Do it. I require you. Is it funny that in the positives, I'm actually writing that the game made me chuckle a couple of times. Amongst them is yes when Mackenzie says, "Did you scam me?" What did it say? I don't know. The first time I heard that, I honestly, like, chuckled out loud. A dev so crazy it messed up it screwed up the audio. It screwed up the audio. The game's audio got crusty. Gosh. All right. What was Mackenzie's military rank? None. He was just just a level 4 Galactic Federation engineer. So for all we know, his rank is just the baby man. You know, he's there more to fix machines and the mechs and less the guy who's supposed to be fighting. The military training that he's got a pistol. Everybody else has a rifle. He's just got a hand pistol that looks no different to Samus's, like, Paralyzer from Zero Mission. So it really helps convey that this guy is, like, way out of his league in terms of being stranded on Zeros, which is part of the other reason I found them endearing. No, lava doesn't instant kill me. Neither will extreme heat or extreme cold if I walked into those rooms. It's just anything that can be considered as an enemy attack. I guess that it causes Samus to, like, flinch. I wonder if the Galactic Engineer Mackenzie is related to the famous Captain Obvious. Find the family resemblance striking. You know, the worst part is I think Tokavi is the most Captain Obvious in the game. And he's not the navigator. I also kind of ashamed that Nora doesn't say anything when you scan her, even though she's like the Samus fangirl. I think it would have been funnier if you scanned her and she had like a secret flavor text, then she goes, "Oh my gosh, Samus did the Morph Ball, Sarge," when you do the Morph Ball. Because then the other feels like a secret, and that makes it kind of endearing to break the joke. Like Captain Hindsight from South Park. Oh my gosh, I had forgotten about that character. Alright, so here's the deal. I got about another hour in me for the stream. We are at the point where I would start doing sequence breaks in my Dread Mode run. So it's either just sticking to Dread Mode, do more sequence breaks and stuff like that, or swapping to another game. In which case, just based on me mentioning it several times, Crow Country has gotten a lot more views, but I don't know what you in chat believe. I like me some Metros. All right, so there's one vote for Metroid. Like I said, we don't have to change. I can always make the next stream change. I would like to see another game. I can go for an insane sequence break. It's buffering before I was pushed the stream. Is that it doesn't have a good juggle tool. 16 combat is it doesn't have a good juggle tool. I like the fact that it doesn't have a juggle tool because it grounds it in the fact that you have to respect the enemy and you cannot just juggle them. So like I like the fact that it's more about how are you comboing the primals into each other for rotation, to maximize the damage rather than maximizing the damage because the enemy can't fight you. So it always puts you in a precarious situation where. All right, so I see some people who want to see the sequence break, so I'll keep this here, and then for worst case, I'll see. So that's just the thing I saw, and then I enjoyed when I played 16 with my brother, is that there is no way that you could like put the enemies in a juggle state of sorts or too long of a stun state. There's the stagger meter and stuff, and so that way it also like distance itself from the usual Bayonetta, Devil May Cry, juggle the enemy type of combo, and it grounds itself more into the slower timing your primal abilities and charging them up so you can unleash stronger attacks type of ordeal. My gripe with 16 is that there's some areas that I feel could have been better expanded or have more story interactions and rewards and stuff, because there's not much to do in the side quests. I think the combat is perfectly fine for what it was. It just might have benefited more from having other party members, because that's the other thing it does. The other reason it doesn't have quite the same juggle. It's more, in some ways, I'd say more Metal Gear Rising, more Astral Chain than Devil May Cry. Shocked that there isn't any juggling in 16. From what I heard, 16 is the most character action franchise it's been so far. Yes, but like I said, the reason there's no juggling is because the combat that you would normally experience with the casts and the auto attacks in 16 in Final Fantasy are just now your abilities in 16. So because you can mix all the primals together, you're trying to make a rotation or in a combo system that allows you to maximize how much damage you can give to your enemies and take opportunities of when you can stagger them. That changes a different ebb and flow. So juggling was never a thing that was considered in 16. So I don't know why we're talking about juggling system, because that seems more like, you know, it's like saying I wish that in Metroid Prime I could do the thing from the 2D game, I guess. Samus, go towards the game's final boss so that you can progress towards the boss at the end. Thanks, Mackenzie. I wouldn't have thought about that. Wow. Because of the lack of a juggle, I also like it because like a lot of the things that you fight in 16 are big heavy guys. So it feels more weighted. Is I guess what I would call it. If you could juggle in 16, it'd be too you would be too ridiculously broken, giving the type of damage output that you can do in 16 rather simple. So like that's the way I would think about 16. It grabbed the Final Fantasy action time system and it made it behave more like an action game rather than a turn-based RPG. So they had a clear intent where there's no... It's like, again, Rising doesn't have a juggle system. Astral Chain barely has a semblance of a juggle system. And 16 follows more along the lines of that philosophy, where it's more about how do you parry and dodge your enemies rather than juggle them. Because it also would be kind of silly that there's a lot of the political drama. Like, Devil May Cry doesn't take itself as seriously as Final Fantasy 16, right? There's no moment where Hugo Kupka is trying to do some things that, wow, I you know, trigger warning type of shit. And then 2 minutes later, you're juggling him in the air like a buffoon. It would kind of like diminish the drama and the tension that there is in the story. Same if you did it against Odin or Bahamut, you know? Where Devil May Cry and Bayonetta take themselves less seriously in their moods and their themes, and that's why doing these ridiculously stylish combos up in the air feels more gratifying rather than... It's also interesting that I'm saying all of this because it's the same combat director from Devil May Cry 5. He purposely removed the juggling. He's got a whole thing of why no juggles. Whoosh. Samus, I see you're doing nicely with over 50% done with your save, but do you know that missile expansion can help you deal with some enemies? By expanding your arsenal? Just here to help. P.S. I miss you. Aw, thanks, Mackenzie. I miss you too, little baby boobop. Brian, not to sound like this type of comment, but it sounds to me like you want the game to play more like DMC5 rather than play like what Team wanted for Final Fantasy 16. Final Fantasy 16 was a joint venture between the team that made Final Fantasy 14. But Yoshi P is good friends with Sakurai and Harada and the guys who made DMC5. That the combat director for Devil May Cry 5 is the combat director for Final Fantasy 16. So, you know, the guy knows why there's no juggling or launching in Final Fantasy 16. Even though you can do that with Garuda, so I don't know what Brain is talking. Garuda has a launcher and a spike. You can do air combos. It's just that the air combos are more for staggerer meter than damage and stylishness. But you can make more builds that just melt through your boss and the enemies. DMC is more character drama in terms of the serious parts, so silliness outside of that works. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like the silliness from Devil May Cry don't fit in the world of 16. The characters from Devil May Cry don't fit in the world, in the story presented by, in the mood presented by Final Fantasy 16. And a lot of it carries over in the gameplay with how do these characters control and behave and what they can do. That also helps 16 get its own image rather than being compared to Devil May Cry and Bayonetta because it's got launcher and air combos type of stuff. Like, you know, 16 is more of a drama. A political drama and stuff like that. Where people get decaffeinated and stuff. And like, you know, I guess the easiest way I could say is like, all of a sudden, someone in Game of Thrones starts doing a Devil May Cry stylish combo. Two more deaths. Oh, did I stop counting? Are we at 28? I'm getting distracted by the sequence breaks. Wouldn't put Pikachu in Lord of the Rings setting. Yeah, so they just wanted to go with that in 16, where in Final Fantasy you can't really like you can't really interrupt the enemy's casts, and they already have like a stagger mechanic, so you can do more damage to them. That they felt that putting a launcher would just sort of wash it down with the sea of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta and stuff. It's what they went with in the developer store. Did I miss any deaths? I'm asking the same. Alright, there we go. Siggy, gameplay is meant for this specific roleplay in the story. For games mostly, so gameplay is designed for that obvious reasons. Yeah. With that said, I really like 16's combat. I found that you can like combine the primals. So you can have like an Odin spell on Bahamut and stuff like that. And they all behave differently, and they have very specific purposes that can cater to different playstyles. That I really got like a big like kick out of it, and sort of in some ways it felt like Xenoblade Chronicles X, in which is more about making my own rotation, or even Final Fantasy 14, and I'm making my own rotation, but taking into account when things are in cooldown, so I can continue the oh. can understand that there's a lot of people who prefer just the juggling mechanics from Devil May Cry and Bayonetta, but you know, Final Fantasy 16 never aimed to do that. So yeah. Still think it's a fun game. I liked it more than Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth and Remake. Well, a lot of it has to do because it's set in a brand new world with brand new characters and Soken's music and stuff like that. Oh, fuck me. I feel like sometimes we focus on a peak of a specific game genre as the only way for these games to be good. And not allow them to be their own stuff. Yeah, I feel like, you know, that happens a lot with the internet. Alright, that's another 10. You know what that means. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So what is juggling exactly in hack and slash games? You juggle the enemy. You launch them into the air, and you punch them and combo them so they stay in the air. Therefore, you're juggling them. Alright, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Admittedly, I never played it, but I found the world of 16 to be boring, at least in terms of environments. Yeah, I can understand that. I also found it a little bit lacking, given that it's Final Fantasy, and these franchises are known for very fantastical environments. If I were to give my copium excuse, is the reason why the world is dreary in 16 as it is part of the story. Because part of the story is that magic bad, magic eating world. We must relinquish magic. So it gets reflected by the more grounded stuff and how it plays with other themes as well that I don't really want to get into, because if not I'm spoiling, but it's a totally valid point because I felt the same. Fuck me. Ugh. This is the worst sequence break for me. It's just part of the reason I really don't like juggle games like that, because then I sook and I drop them. So I kind of like 16 because it was more about big boy swing, big boy do. I'm trying to build my metagame into charging my ultimate death laser and then unleash it and everything dies, rather than, because I'm the type of guy who prefers a one big meaty swing than the tiny 1,000 combo swooshes, you know. The reason why Prime Force World is like that is because of the store gets shot. Ah. Dad, I think I'm gonna start squatting soon. At this current pace. I can do this. This is where Mewtwo's mortar skills we're talking about. With that said, I really enjoyed my time in 16. I wouldn't say it's the best Final Fantasy game. I don't know if I would recommend it over my favorites, but I do have a soft spot for it. Yo, Alberts, less muscles here. So we're starting to feel the burn more than some Ozans. If anything, I'm feeling it more in my lower back, which is great. No, come on. Stupid sequence breaks. It's like, at this, the amount of time I've wasted on the first sequence break. Just make sure your lower back is doing a straighten when doing reps. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, it's more about pushing the booty out than anything. Is that how White Chat wants the camera? If I had a way to connect the camera to this, I would, but Oh, come on. I forgot the timing. I completely forgot the timing. Not like I was a pole vaulter 13 years professionally. Oh shit, I had no idea about that. That's sick. Chad wishes to see Orpheon Bada, I suppose. Oh gosh. Yeah, it's at least quicker to die to the enemy than lava. That's true. How did I do this again? I don't think you answered me the other day. Wouldn't the opposite of Orpheon be Adoption? Adoption. All right, that you get a +1 for that, chat. You get a +1 for that bid. That's my. So, wouldn't the opposite of Orpheon be Adoption? No, let me go die. No, I kind of meant like a universal launch, and I needed to be like another weapon mode. In the Final Fantasy should have DNC levels of airtime to the point of wackiness. Yeah, I mean, it's just that it wasn't done like that, because I feel like if you had a universal launch on 16, like you're saying, Brian, Clive would be ridiculous. Giving how much damage you can do as is with your primal abilities, which is sort of like the focus of the game. Chat was saying that the opposite of Orpheon for like Dark Orpheon would be Adoption. As in orphan adoption. Has anybody played the new Resident Evil? I haven't really looked at anything about it. Does it play like the first-person Resident Evils, or is it like a third-person Resident Evil? Because I know they'll never do the top-down view cameras, which are my favorites. They'll never do those again. Now that I think about it, it sounds like Orpheon is the evolution we've been missing. I guess so. It's got the EON at the end. Which type would that be? Ghost? Steel? Just kill me. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't miss too much of a context if you just skip to 9. So it's an over-the-shoulder combat game? Because of the new Resident Evil, I got my will to finish Resident Evil 1 Remake and finally seeing the full version of survival horror. Oh, because like when I started, like these were the games I started with, even though I cannot buy the original PS1 copy. At least I have the GameCube one. You play it in first or third person? Oh, okay, so maybe it's not for me. Sadly, I'll give it a look, but I'm more of the. I have to see how the survival horror is. Hey, I did it! I did it! Chat, I did it! Clapping for myself. I'll clap for that. I applaud myself for being different. Can switch between first person over the shoulder. Only took like 16 deaths. Do you have like I'll probably just look at gameplay. I did play 7. I didn't play 8 because I just wasn't interested on the story or the world of 8. And whatever vampire lady that everybody was thirsting on did nothing for my neurons. So like I just kind of miss the original Resident Evil 1 and 2 from the PlayStation horror and cinematography, because I feel a lot of get lost in like the camera movement, which is, you know, why I've gravitated to the indie games that offer me Resident Evil type experiences without having to be tied to the IP. Sorry, I don't know. Something stuck in my throat. If I don't need context to play RE9, then I'll buy it. No, I wasn't sure. I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's not like the stories of the Resident Evil games are massively intertwined into each other and whatever. It usually boils down to some form of virus or disease trying to create zombies and take over the world, and sort of finding that conspiracy theory. So. At least back in the day, you know, I started with Resident Evil 2 on the N64, and then I made my way to the first one on the PlayStation 1. I never really felt like I missed anything. But, like, if you know who Leon Kennedy is, then, like, I'm sure it's fine. It's not too hard. You don't need to play the other two Resident Evil. I don't think you need to play Resident Evil 2 and 4 to understand who Leon is. Because that's the other problem, like... I also heard that people want one to be remade again, and the rumors of a remake 1 being worked on. Yeah, I really hope it's fake. I think that this new over-the-shoulder stuff is cool. I like it, but it's not Resident Evil 1 or 2 or 3, and that's where my problems with the quote-unquote remakes. A lot of the horror and mechanics and cinematography of those games is just forever lost. Because it's just not in the remakes. When they should remake 0 or Code Veronica rather than the original. Because they were saying all about Return to Raccoon City. Yeah, but like I'm pretty sure like the Resident Evil 9 and Raccoon City context that you need to know for that game will be given to you in Resident Evil 9. It's not like you need to play the other game or else you'll be completely out of context. It's just that some of the emotional stuff, because you were there, isn't as good. But if the story is written well, you'll be supplied with a context that you need to understand the story of the new one. Just like they did for Aliens, where you don't need to watch the original Alien to understand Aliens, or play the original Resident Evil to understand how the things escalated to Raccoon City or reached Raccoon City for that matter. It's just that I feel that we've gravitated away from horror into action and continuity. Where like it felt like the other games was just more about simple conspiracy story, mystery about how all this stuff. Still got my big box Resident Evil with a strategy guide memory card for the PS1. Ah, let's go, dude. So jealous. All of that stuff for me evaporated, gone with, reduced to atoms. Unfortunately stolen. But you know, that doesn't count as an Emmy dev though. So no squats for me. That doesn't count as an Emmy dev. So Resident Evil 7 wasn't scary. It's not that it wasn't scary, it's that it felt more like body gore than body horror. And stuff like that. Fucking hell, yeah, he's like, do those squats. 1, 2. I also feel that with how many Resident Evil remakes Capcom has been doing, we could have been on Resident Evil 13 by now, and have the opportunity for one of those to be like a fixed camera angle again, because I feel a lot of the horror is lost when you can move the character as smoothly as you can in those games. Because at least even in the original RE4, you had to decide between shooting or moving. Imagine Albert sitting on the couch, counting slowly, menacingly. What do you mean? I can only count to 4. One, 2, 4. I just jinxed it. What did I jinx? Very true. The slow tank controls, inventory management, careful planning was part of the horror. Yeah, it really made you feel like you were lost and had to find a way to keep yourself alive. So you also had limited saves, mind you, which also added a lot to the horror. It made you be worried about when you saved and stuff, because you had limited amount of ink rivets. Count to 4, that's why there won't be a Metroid 5, yeah. I can't 269. It's just that, like, you know. I just don't like how the new remakes feel like quote-unquote replacements for the original games, but a lot of what made the original games magical is completely lost. At 49, my reflexes ain't good during gaming. Hold up. As they used to be with all that construction work I've done. I'm surprised I can play any video game. Well, you're also lucky that there's like a lot of video games nowadays that don't really require crazy reflexes and stuff that are also very fun, you know? I did see that the attaché case did made a return in RE9. Alright, that's sweet. When you're talking about not being killed by the enemy. By the Emmy? Yeah, no, that was... The Emmy hurt me. The Emmy hurt me. Forgot to put on the Ravenbeak peak. Forgot to put on the Ravenbeak piss me off, lol. Because of the boss fight being hard, or because of the problems that you mentioned? Because I could definitely see that. That's why I'm at least happy that there's the indie games that still stay closer to the horror and the limitations that the original Resident Evil and Silent Hill games used to have. With that said, I think that the Resident Evil 1 remake that came out on GameCube is by far the... Sorry, that death was just too stupid. I have to... There's a lot of traps like that you don't really notice until you play Dread Mode and they kill you, you know? I really felt that the Resident Evil 1 remake on the GameCube was the perfect way of just remaking those games, because it keeps the spirit of the original game intact, and a lot of the horrors, and so the things that it adds onto it feel like the quality of life improvements you kind of wish were in the PS1. Not to mention the fully fleshed out soundtrack that is faithful to the game. I'm a little surprised, not disappointed, surprised. Yeah, Resident Evil 1 Remake was perfect. I'm so glad you can find it for cheap frequently on the Switch. And I gotta be honest, it's just like a dream to play on the Switch because then like you can just take it anywhere. Thank you so much, Kroko. Can you give us a yay?
Yay!
Thank you so much. Oh, baseball? ¿En serio? ¿Contra? Alright, I'll be right back. Baseball. Are you Steelers? Oh. Polio de Shohei Bulbar. Alright. Shit, yeah, no, I mean, say that low though? Me gusta el uniforme de cancha. Y la jersey, ya. Simplemente blanca ya. Qué emoción, qué emoción, qué emoción, qué emoción. Alright, I'm back. My headphones fell to the floor. Sorry, baseball. I love baseball. Oh! That's a baseball. Imagine if you left the game on pause and the trap got him. Yeah, it's the Baseball World Series. Like, World Cup. The classic. Oh, mother bitch. That was a fucking snipe if I seen one. Alright. What's going on in baseball? The equivalent of the World Cup of baseball. Where it's not like the MLB. It's the USA versus Japan versus Mexico versus the Netherlands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh yeah, it's like the equivalent of like the World Cup, but in baseball. You mean Pokeball throwing league? No, I mean Pokemon hitting the Pokeballs with a baseball bat league. Yeah, the Netherlands is playing right now against Venezuela. Having to go through 3 phases with him and not going to lie. Hold up. That totally caught me off guard, but when Samus turned Super Saiyan and she was screaming, all that was totally worth it. Yeah, I like the fact that the Ravenbeak fight is so hard and long because it as a as a game, like you get to really feel how powerful he is in general. That it translates into the story. Huh? It's at least as long as its 10 pack. And then our Pokemon's inside the Pokeballs. It's, if you want to. Also, Mewtwo had a bit. Where's the bit? I don't see a bit. Oh, Samus, did you know flying electric saw blades can injure your ass? The more you know, I guess. I found it. But yeah, like I feel like it marries the gameplay to story. Where Ravenbeak is like this otherworldly cosmic threat that can just really stand toe to toe and actually beat Samus. Samus cannot defeat Ravenbeak in the end, if you think about it. It is funny to think that the baby Samus got saved by the baby a 4th time because of the Metro DNA. Though she's also a mess because of DNA. No, you do have a point. But why 4th? It's the first time in Super Metroid. The 2nd time is in Fusion. Wouldn't this be the 3rd? Am I missing something? But Samus Returns... I guess the baby does help defeat Ridley, but I wouldn't really call that a saving. It was more Samus saving the baby again. But I suppose. I would equate the saving as like, you know, one character sort of helpless or powerless to the situation. But I see what you mean. I wish Ravenbeak didn't die to Mellow Yellow. I think that the fact that Ravenbeak dies to Mellow Yellow is the irony behind it all. And another reminder for the audience who didn't play Fusion and all this other stuff, why they're so dangerous in general. You get to see somebody get turned into an X-Parasite live, if anything. It adds to the body horror. And arguably gives Ravenbeak a fate worse than death for a bit. Before he's incinerated. Whoa. The fuck is that? Fuck me. He was practicing social distancing and quarantining only to get infected in the end. I just realized X-Parasites are just space dittos. I guess? But only in the way that they shapeshift, because the last time I checked, Ditto doesn't, like, you know, harvest the DNA by assimilating Pikachu type of stuff. Pikachu still is alive as Ditto makes an imperfect copy of him, versus these things that just like replace you. Right? This might be out of nowhere, but what do you think of the idea of roaming bosses in Metroidvania? Give me a reference. What would you describe as a roaming boss in a Metroidvania sense? I mean, you don't know what I feed my Ditto. Yeah, but that's your Ditto. Ditto might be a lot more smarter than we think. Really? You always struck me as the head end. I don't want to picture X-Parasites with Ditto's derpy face. Would roaming boss be Emmy or hunters? Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that's why I was asking for clarifications, because I think that the Emmys and the hunters and prime hunters could kind of fit those as roaming enemies. You fight them in several rooms. The SAX extremely scripted? Well, if you don't count the SAX, you shouldn't count the hunters and prime hunters, because they kind of behave the same way. They're scripted only to show up in certain areas. Fuck. Again, which is why I'm asking for the clarification of roaming enemy, because it could be something like there might be referring to like Mr. X or Nemesis that I don't really. Or the hunter from Dead Space. I just walked into it. That the SEX and Emmy are the invincible Easter egg / nemesis for Samus. I guess so. The tail? Really? The guy was already halfway underground. I thought his hitbox disappeared. I mean, like a group of roaming bosses, but each have their own gimmick. Wait, that's just Emmys. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I think they work well for Metroidvanias, but when there are, like, constrained to specific locations. As we've seen in the series, because if not, then the game feels more like a stalker game, similar to like what you would see in Hunting Grounds, to give an example. You're always being chased by this enemy no matter where you are, and then it... Gamer mode. Because like the issue I have is with thinking about enemies and implementing them into the Metroidvania and the ebb and flow. It's just, it might be like tough as heck to develop. Which again, you might as well just lean into it being fully horror game like Hunting Grounds. On the PS2. Trav Survivor side game for Metroid. Yeah, you can make it like based around a Federation trooper trying to survive and stuff. You want to play a Metroid survival horror game? Well, I got just the one for you! It's even better because it doesn't have the Metroid IP attached to it, so it can just be its own thing. No! Kraid got me, man. My good friend Kraid Gaben got me. You died to the manicure. I thought that I died to the lava explosion. I would just make it like Signalis, to be honest. It's got the puzzles, the lore, the exploration, the cosmic threat, and all these elements from Metroid. It's just not set in a Metroid-like universe. And, I like it also a lot because of the puzzles. Everything that you're doing has like an ebb and flow to convey story. Fuck. In some ways, I like it way more than Resident Evil. Yeah, I know what you meant, Brian. I was just having an excuse to once again share my other brain rot that I feel has scratched that itch in the absence of a traditional Metroid survival horror game.
There we go. No exercise today, Kraid. Chad, you have such little faith. Chad, such little faith, Chad. Such little faith. Such little faith. I also like Dread because the things when they die, that you defeated the boss cinematic cutscenes are so cool. The dies just, the way the bosses just die. Chad, which you're saying like, oh, it's gonna take a while. Kraid's gonna make you do exercise, and I actually pulled through. Detroit YouTubers fans have such little faith on his skills. I mean, to be fair, I guess with all the baby devs I've been having. Yeah, Kraid is very unhygienic and gross. Alright. Well, now I'm gonna just look for a save room, honestly, and call it a stream. See if I spend some of this afternoon working on the script now that I don't have any other responsibilities to do. All the client work I did, I was pretty happy, so happy client, happy me. Poor Gabe being dragged back to work. Technically speaking, most Metrovanias, or just platformers in general, have fixed camera, right? Yes. The camera's always... fixed camera means that you don't have control over it. So the camera is fixed to give you the perspective that you need to see. So any game in which you cannot move the camera around has a... or stuff, I would say has a fixed camera. I don't know what would be the difference with something like Crow Country, where you can spin the camera around. I would still call it fixed because you cannot like zoom in, but you can only see things from a particular angle is what I would say. Free moving camera in Metrovania would be disorienting. Yeah, I think so. Alright, there we go. Okay, so this is what I'm going to call it a stream for today. Hopefully next week, Gaben will be free so that we can do some DMC5. And if not, then yeah, I'll probably return to this with Crow Country / Gravity Circuit. Thanks for the awesome stream. No, thank you guys for joining in and partaking of all the funny bits and stuff like that, and chatting is always fun. Hello Albert, it's me, the blue Chihuahua from Chihuahua Race game that was secretly called God Hand. When will you load the game in Rage again? When Gabe beats the boss, or we find a way that I don't have to mash buttons. Because I'm mostly for my health. I cannot be mashing so many buttons so often like that and stuff. It gets tiring on top of the frustrating. So like, one thing is frustrating, I can do frustrating, but when it started to get physically draining, no. Because I would rather go and like climb a wall. I don't know. Rather than just mash. So the idea would be that Gabe just gets over the hump, and then I go back and playing it. So ask Gabe. But yeah, I'll still be working on. Hello, Albert. I'm the green Chihuahua from the Chihuahua racing game. I understand. I'm glad you understand. Carpal tunnel input sounds like nothing. Yeah, well, I'm happy to co-host the stream, but I really think that the problem with God Hand is just carpal tunnel syndrome the game. And to that, I have to say no. If it's like a simple, easy game, sure, but with the level of stuff they're asking me to do, I don't know. Pawn, can you leave Leeser alone for 2 seconds? It's for one stream. I just think she's neat. But yeah, like I'll probably try and be here next week. See about a day in which Gabe can join, so that way we can do Devil May Cry 5 and start playing that game. And if not, then I'll just keep Dread and Crow Country and Gravity Circuit as the alright, it's a lone stream. Looks like the laser. Look, it's the laser that's explodes and regenerates. Ow. Hello, Albert. I'm the purple Chihuahua from the Chihuahua game. Get good. Yeah, you're right, purple Chihuahua. But you see, as the bit said, my motor skills get in the way, and I don't have the skills to get over that skill issue. So, don't know what to tell you there, Chihuahua. I'm saying with a wait, that's Monster Hunter. No. There is Monster Hunter in 14. Leeser has a secret and a Rathalos and a Poogie and a Palico. What else is Monster Hunter? The barbecue split. Have a good one, Orpheon. You too, chat. Thank you. Sponsors Hunters? What do you mean? Anyways, I'm gonna go know about my latest coming of Roman bosses. Ah, okay. No, she's just very lizardy. I don't know what you're talking about, Pawn. Trying to find another laser picture. Muy bueno stream, Burpman. Bueno, me alegro que te haya gustado. No, for real, I'm really happy that you guys enjoy the streams as much as I enjoy streaming the streams. See, the problem about this monster is that it tried and faced my lizard. And then my lizard went mlem and it died. Buenas noches, lizard simp. Bueno, it's like day. It's just afternoon here. Got a few laughs. Hope you guys did too. Oh, I had plenty of laughs this stream. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, Artfell is in 14, my guy. I just told you. I just showed you. Artfell tried to throw hands against my lizard and died. Just went mlem. And it died. There you can even see my laser over there on the thing. Yeah, I just gotta clear Dawn Trail. Just clearing Dawn Trail. You know, nothing much. Anyways, I'll see you guys next stream. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody take care. I really hope that
lizard.
you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Take care, guys.